Hello, this is Jamie Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have Bannon versus Musk from Dina B, free, and they said, "What's up with Steve Bannon? He isn't a stupid person. Why would he go head to head with Musk/Trump and calling for a moratorium on all immigration? That's insanity. He knows that can't happen. Perhaps he's trying to energize the far right wing of the party, but seems to me like he is increasing the rift that is already occurring. He has some endgame, I'm sure, but I'm not seeing what it is. Maybe just get his name in the news." And yeah, I personally would agree with more of Musk/Trump than with Bannon. But if Bannon wants to say we need a moratorium on all immigration, I think he should be able to do so. Yeah, if I personally would disagree with that, but if he wants to say that and end up enacting that as government policy, if he ever does get control of Trump again, like he had back in like 2017, then I guess that's his prerogative, and he should be able to do that if he wants to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the damning statistics that reveal the true cost of Brexit 5 years on from the independent.co.uk. And yeah, let's see. I think they have like a chart. I don't see the chart, but yeah, I guess economically, I think I would disagree with Brexit because it led to Britain leaving the free trade zone of the EU. But more politically, I probably would agree with Brexit because increasingly the EU was an authoritarian intergovernmental organization, and increasingly they passed stuff that is anti-free speech, especially when it comes to social media. With that being said, Britain has that as well. They arrest people for what they post on social media as well, and they are increasingly have problems like if you dare post against the Rotherham gang rape circuit, they might come after you for it. So yeah. So I personally think if Britain did vote to leave the EU, and I guess I would disagree with that from an economic perspective, but from a social perspective, I think it was the right thing to do. But regardless, authoritarianism isn't just from national governments; it's from international governments like the EU as well, and I think that's important to remember. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Big Potato Under Fire, how four suppliers raise prices in suspicious lockstep from boingboing.net by Baton13. And yeah, I personally think if people shouldn't be rewarding monopolies like those in big agriculture, but if the big four suppliers do want to raise prices, I think they should be able to do so. But with that being said, I think the libertarian solution to agriculture is, grow your own food rather than rely on big ag. And I think that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Elon is Big Brother, and that's a post. It's from Ragnarok XG, and it looks like I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what website this is. Like, it looks like a screenshot from like Tumblr or something. I don't know. And they said the sheriff said Tesla CEO Elon Musk helped the investigation by having the truck unlocked after it's auto locked in the blast and giving investigators video of the suspect at charging stations or along its route from Colorado to Las Vegas. And they added, "Hey, how come the truck automatically locks when it explodes and bursts into flames?" And someone else said, "Hey, how come Elon Musk can remotely unlock any Tesla vehicle?" And then someone else said, how come Elon Musk have access to security footage if you're charging your car?" And yeah, ultimately, if people want to buy Tesla after knowing all this, they think they should be able to do so. But yeah, I wouldn't really consider him to be Big Brother since, you're not forced to buy Tesla products if you don't want to. But yeah, ultimately, I think when you get something, you should own it outright, not be subject to surveillance over it, like Elon's currently doing with Tesla. It looks like, even if it might be for good reasons, like preventing terrorist attacks. I personally don't think that's very libertarian, so I personally wouldn't support a business like that. But I don't know if I consider it Big Brother because I think Big Brother is something that more refers to government authoritarianism than private authoritarianism. But I guess Big Brother, if you want to consider Big Brother to be potentially a thing of private authoritarianism as well, I think you should be able to consider that. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And we have They've lost control of the mountain. At Park City Mountain, stock prices fall when skiers pan long lines, lengthy waits from SLTRib.com by Ninja Lover, and they added, Reverie said the widely held perception that the resort operators are prioritizing profit over people to the concentration of both workers and guests. The Ski Patrol Union is standing strong for better benefits. Love to see it. And yeah, I personally don't really care for unions, but if workers do want to form a union, I think they should be able to do so. And if they want better benefits, that's on them. I personally think it hopefully they can come to a decent agreement. But yeah, just because unions are voluntary collectives doesn't mean they can't be authoritarian as well. Just like how forced collectivism is inherently authoritarian, but voluntary collectivism can be used for authoritarianism as well, especially if it can be used to bully people who are not members of the union or otherwise have conflicting interests to it. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have 10 arrested for writing gay erotica in China as part of nationwide crackdown from LGBTQNation.com, and that's from LegioX. And yeah, I personally think I don't really care for gay erotica, but I think if you want to write, I think you should be able to do so. And I don't think the state should be telling you what you can and can't write. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Colony's problem. Delegates might cut out after outcry during House Speaker vote from FoxNews.com by Ninja Lover, and they had to give them statehood or set them free. And I think I would agree with that. I personally don't think the U.S. should have territories or colonies, and I think we need to, let them go simply as a measure of cost cutting. And the U.S. is all these overseas bases as well. I think we need to let go. I think we just need to let go and focus on our own borders, and yeah. So I would say no more territories or expansionism. Just go back to the way things were back. I would say before the Civil War. Let's keep all that. I'd say even Alaska and Hawaii might be too much. That's just I think just let the continental U.S. and even then if it was back for in like 1800, I probably would have gone through stuff like Louisiana Purchase and all that. The smaller the country, I think the less powerful it's going to be, and I think the more powerful the country is, the more authoritarian it gets. And I think the U.S. is a good example of that. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Right Libertarians or Just Conservatives from CH Relax, and that's crosswords from the Enough Libertarian Spam subreddit. And it's a tweet from Billy Binion. Yes, the very libertarian position of leveraging a dictatorial government to punish people for wearing the wrong clothing. And that was him quote tweeting the right-haired libertarian tweeted Based, who that was her quote tweeting Burke's News. Just in, Russia finds 7 nightclub attendees for looking too gay in their choice of outfits. And yeah, I would agree with Binion there. I think, if people do want to dress obnoxiously queerly, I think they should be able to do so. I personally don't care for it, but the libertarian position is people should be able to dress and do whatever with their own bodies, whatever they feel like, even if it might offend you. And yeah, so the initiative of the vote was right libertarians, just conservatives. I do think there are a lot of right libertarians that are really just conservatives, just like I think there are a lot of left libertarians that are really just progressives. People will say that they're for freedom, but it's freedom for reasons that go against the narrative. Like in the left libertarian case, would be more, oh, you're being mean to LGBTQ people. You should go to prison over that, or you're not taking the state mandated vaccine, or state mandated atheism. People are pro-choice unless it's usually the choice that they would make. And yeah, if you justify forcing your beliefs on others from an ideological lens, then you're more an authoritarian than a libertarian, I would say. And you definitely see that on both a lot of left and right, so-called left and right libertarians. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And we have Why Are Public Quotations Sugarcoating Livelsberger's Political Manifestos from TalkingPointsMemo.com by Ninja Lover. And they added a quote from the manifesto: "Try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Dems out of the Fed government and military by any means necessary. They all must go, and a hard reset must occur for a country to avoid collapse." And yeah, I personally think it was just another psyop. I think the government might have trained him to do this to rile people up. I think whenever someone does violence, I think the government is probably the one ultimately behind it, because the government, they seem to always want to have people anxious so they can reinforce their own power, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have John Roberts absurdly suggests the Supreme Court has no political bias from RollingStone.com by Ninja Lover, and that's a cross post from the SCOTUS subreddit. And yeah, I personally did disagree with that remark. I think John Roberts is probably one of the better justices of the Supreme Court currently. But with that being said, everyone's going to innately have some kind of political bias, even if they don't are willing to acknowledge it. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have billionaire Larry Ellison says the vast AI field surveillance system can ensure citizens will be on their best behavior from AOL.com by Ninja Lover. And they added citizens will be on their best behavior because we are constantly reporting everything that's going on. And yeah, I don't think that's very libertarian. I don't care if the system is a private enterprise or a public one. I don't think we need a vast AI field surveillance system, regardless. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have a mole infiltrated the highest ranks of American militias. This is what they found from ProPublica.org by Ninja Lover. And yeah, I think it's interesting how that a lot of libertarians are, they pretend to be pro-militia because, it's voluntary collectivism rather than forced collectivism. But yeah, I think if people do want to investigate the American militias, they should be able to do so. I think it's interesting. I don't think ProPublica would do the same thing for a guy who infiltrated Antifa, even though Antifa is essentially a militia as well, but it's left-coded rather than right-coded, and ProPublica is, just another left-leaning propaganda outlet these days, it seems. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're going to wrap it up there, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.